name's Hannah Crowdy. I'm Interpretation Manager for National Museums Northern Ireland, and we're here in the Ulster Museum at the opening of our new Modern History Gallery. The gallery takes you from 1500 right through to 1968. It's split into 5 different themes, which are different periods in our history. So the first theme that you enter is Birth of the Modern Era. You then go through to Between Two Revolutions, which is the 18th century, in the Industrial Giant and the Shadow of Poverty, which is the 19th century, Home Rule to Partition, which looks at particularly at the Decade of Centenaries period, and then Living on a Divided Island, which takes you through from 1923 up to 1968, so before the start of the Troubles. We did some visitor evaluation of our old Modern History Gallery, and we found that people sometimes get confused about where they are in history, and we wanted to do it chronologically to really help root people and to help them understand what's happening at the time. There's a timeline that goes the full length of the gallery and tells you different events that were happening at that time, both locally, nationally and globally as well. So again, it helps give people these kind of markers for where they are in history. We've worked very closely with the History Department at Queen's University, and we were working with them so they could advise us on the different periods, and so the sections effectively came from that. One of the new interactives we're really delighted with in the new gallery is a big interactive touch table, and on that interactive touch table we also break down the gallery content into 6 different what we're calling threads, and they are symbols, media, people in focus, small world, environment and family. And for each of those different threads, we've got a huge amount of new content, be it objects from our collection, be it filmed interviews with experts talking about different themes, that just gives a much deeper understanding of what's happening at this time, but also more broadly, because these threads run throughout the gallery. So if you're looking at symbols, for example, you can see when the harp started being used as a symbol and how it was carried on through. The same for the Red Hand of Ulster, the same for King William III. So we run right through to see how these things have developed and changed and been adapted over time. In the first section, which is Birth of the Modern Era, we've got the Dungiven costume, which was an amazingly complete costume from the late 16th century that was found in a bog in the 1950s. And then as you go through the gallery, for example in Home Rule to Partition, we look at a trench periscope that a soldier in the trenches would have used to look out across the trenches and work out where they were and tactics. And then something like media, for example, in the very early sections we're looking at political cartoons, we're looking at newspapers, and then as you move further along we've even got things like we go right up to an early television in the final section of the gallery. The Decade of Centenaries is obviously something we and many other organisations are looking at the moment, and we didn't feel with our old gallery we could really do it justice, and we'd been doing more research over the years, we'd been acquiring more material, and we really wanted to set that sort of period in history properly rather than just giving it a temporary exhibition treatment, which is useful to a point, but we thought that people need that better understanding of the whole sweep of history. So yes, Decade of Centenaries was certainly one of the drivers. It was also through sort of evaluation we've done ever since the Ulster Museum reopened, and we've looked at the galleries and we've talked to visitors, and it was kind of responding to some of the ideas that visitors have about how they want to engage with their history. Well, for each of the chronological periods in the gallery we have 2 what we call gateway objects, and they're 2 objects that are supposed to introduce you to that period in time, but kind of show 2 slightly different viewpoints or 2 slightly different experiences of what life was actually like at the time. The Home Rule to Partition, for example, our 2 objects are an original copy of the Proclamation of the Republic, and also the 36 Ulster Division flag that was actually used at the front during the First World War. So we've tried where we can to as they show different experiences, different viewpoints, to hopefully be as inclusive as we can be, but whilst explaining where certain attitudes came from and why. We've got a wall in the gallery where we've actually reproduced the Proclamation and the Ulster Covenant, because we just think these 2 documents are just such central parts of our history, and so much of where we are now you can trace back to those documents. And again, those 2 documents, the earlier part of the gallery helps explain how we got there. So what we're calling the spine wall, because it very much is the backbone of this gallery and the backbone of our history as well. Yes, it's what we would call a permanent exhibition. So usually with a permanent exhibition, you're saying at least 10 years. So we're hoping it will have a long lifespan.